Awesome. So welcome everyone to TNG Online Connect. So obviously the purpose of this is to widen your TNG connections beyond your group and beyond a region. So we've got Richard, for example, coming in from Palmerston North. So for you Aucklanders or North Aucklanders, there's an opportunity to widen your scope. And TNG has also launched they've got a group in Christchurch as well, which is the first South Island group. So that's some exciting developments there today. So TNG Online Connect, the whole purpose is to bring some guest speakers in who can really educate, empower, and obviously if you have, as a TNG group member, if you want to share or if you want to learn about something, do reach out to Melanie or any of the team and we can organize something to happen there. So talking about great speakers. So we've got Megan Lamont talking today. So Megan Lamont, she owns Vertigro, which is property management. She's also an investor. And what she's going to be talking today is how to maximize your rental return. So since founding Vertigro, Megan has seen steady growth in her property portfolio and has grown her team. And having a background in administration and personal assistance, she prides herself to that attention to detail and that personal relationship with the clients. So what she's going to be sharing today are some tips that are useful for homeowners or investors. And yeah, it's going to be a really interesting session. So Megan, please take it away.
Great. Thank you, Dan. All righty. Well, so yes, thank you for the introduction, Dan. And this is me, Megan. I've been in property management for 20 years. I've got 3 adult children and we live on the Hibiscus Coast, but we manage rental properties on the Auckland's North Shore and Hibiscus Coast. So that is what, oh, sorry, I'm just trying to get my thing to work, but it doesn't want to work. So I am just
use arrows.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering why it's there. We are, right. Okay, so how to add value to your property to get either greater rent return or just adding value for looking at sale, because it really is something that you can do for your own property. But we see a lot of investment properties, so that is kind of where I'm speaking to, but you can take this into your own. So today, this is my sort of plan to give you an idea of what I'm going to be talking on. It'll be about 20 minutes, so we will be touching on some things and then talk a little bit more deeper, or happy to take the phone calls just to chat about things on a more individual basis. So we'll talk about rents, we'll talk about ways to add value, some rental hacks to look at, very briefly touch on healthy homes, because that's another whole topic, and then a question and answer. So probably the first thing about rent return is, when did you last increase your rent? So if you haven't done a rental increase, probably a little bit hard to talk about it this week, to be honest, when everything in the media in the last 2 days has reiterated that rents are on the dive, and things in the rental market have certainly eased up. And that is certainly what we are finding on the ground here, is that everything has just gone very quiet. We would have been renting properties 2 months ago within the first viewing or second viewing, with definitely in the first week of a property being advertised, we would be renting it. And we are now struggling to get even get people walk in the door. So that comes down to rents, because I believe it's probably just the rents have increased in value, and so there has been a real there has been the lift that has happened. So when I say, when did you last increase your rent? If you haven't increased your rent for 2 years, then it is likely you are still under market. If you've done a rent increase 12 months ago, then you would probably, I'd say right now, it would be wise to do your research very well, and to just to make sure that actually what's happening currently is something that you would consider. You might want to wait. And that's right now is what we are saying to some owners, is let's just wait, because because if they walk, you're going to find yourself probably with an empty property for a few weeks. And ideally, when you're investing, you are investing for the long game, and so you want to be aware of that. So that is just, but the first thing is, yes, check your rents. And if you've brought an investment property, then it is making sure you're at market when you're advertising it, because every week without a tenant can take 12 months, 18 months to claw back. So you want to be on point when you enter the market. So doing that research, checking the market rents, because that's where the bonds are coming in. Now that will give you a 6-month past, but Trade Me Clearly is where you want to be looking at what currently is advertised, not just in your suburb, but in the wider suburbs. Who's got property up, what is the prices, and how long have they been listed? So you want to look at that. If something's been listed for a month or 6 weeks, then you need to ask some deeper dive questions. Why hasn't it been? Is it because the photos were taken 10 years ago and people are now coming through those doors and not renting it, and so it's not actually presented as it is? Or is it because the owner had a really high price and now they're trying to meet market? All of those things. So you want to ask that out. If you've got a property manager, have a good conversation with them. They're seeing it all the time. So, you talk to them, get that deeper dive, check your local Facebook pages, do all of that research. But you want to be on market. There's no reason why you should be under market, because people won't move if they're really happy in a house and they feel that they're getting value for that property. So don't be afraid of meeting the market, because what you want and what tenants want, really nice homes to live in. They are, so you don't be afraid of that, but you want to make sure that you're not overreaching, because you could be stuck with not having income. So, and then ways to get that. How do you get, in my mind, and this is just my opinion, so and there will be very different people's opinions, but in my mind, when you've got an investment property, having a long-term stable tenant is ideal. Because they're not moving out. The transient tenants tend to not be as careful with the property as someone that is there, that is wanting to make their home there. They're committed to the area, they're building a life. And generally those tenants want a really nice home to live in. And it doesn't matter if it's a lower end of the market or the top end of the market, they still expect certain things. And yes, the bathroom may not be as beautifully tiled as the 5-bedroom 3-bathroom down the road, but they don't want a bathroom that's grotty and rusting and the taps are all, even if they're at the bottom end of the market, they still want something that's tidy. And so you want to respect that to get the best in that end of the market. So if you present a really crappy house, then the reality is you're not going to get someone walking in that you really want. And we're videoing this, so but it's just it's thinking about these things. So the 5 things you can think of are: do you want to, can you add a room? Because can you add another study? Can you add something that adds value to that property, which is going to give you that better rent return? What can you do in the kitchen, the bathroom? What color do you use? What's your flooring? Outside appeal. So let's quickly touch on those things. Now, adding a room is the most expensive thing you can do. However, it can really add value and add amenity value for tenants. So your bottom line, when you look to sell, then, of course, it's going to be worth more. That's not rocket science. But for a tenant, as we're all aware, things have changed, and the working from home is so much more common. Even 2 or 3 days a week, people are doing that. So going from a 2-bedroom to a 3-room property and having the office that they can utilize, can you change the laundry into an office? I see there's so many, these big, and these older homes, the laundry's huge. People just don't use laundries very, they just, you can pop it into the bathroom, reposition it, even in the kitchen if you can put it behind doors. People aren't, you know, I mean, maybe they do now. I've been so long out of nappies, but people aren't having nappies in a bucket. I mean, maybe they probably do these days, but you know, like using the laundry just isn't, people just put their stuff in the washing machine, put it in the dryer, you know, we just tend to do that. And so these laundries are perfect offices, you know, they're the right size for it. So can you do that? Have you got a dining room, the old-fashioned dining room that you just don't use? Can that be repurposed? Or can you add on? Now, obviously, you need to get council permission to add on. I'm not saying don't do something that, you know, doesn't need consent. You do need to follow that procedure. But putting on from a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, going to a 4-bedroom with an ensuite, that's definitely changing your rentability. It's definitely changing your value down the track. So if you've got the room, think about it. Like they say, there is no time to plant a tree better than today. So if it's something you're thinking about, it's no point saying, oh, we should have done it. It's like, well, make plans today. You know, we added on a minor on our property. It was a big garage. We took the garage down, put a minor on. I'm so grateful we did that. You know, we made that plan. You won't be disappointed. Well, bring me in 10 years if you are, but I don't think you'll be disappointed. And you know, what can you do? Can you put a sleep out on there? Because again, that's another room. So think about those things, have conversations. There's no better time to start than today. So definitely look at that. And then just the things that we've looked at are, you know, updating the kitchen. So this doesn't have to be expensive. Now, of course, putting a whole new kitchen in can be pricey, or it can be, you can go to Bunnings, sort that, you know, get things sorted and get a kitchen for under 10 grand. But ways of making it just look, oh, this is nice. Then it's just painting the cupboards, existing cupboards, just paint them white. You know, are they groshy? Do they just need a roller of paint over them? Do they just need new handles that make them look a little bit more modern? You know, when you're putting tiles up, don't go with a light grout in a rental, go with a gray or a darker color, because that's not going to, that's going to be much easier to keep clean, staining, all of those things. You just think, what is going to be okay for the next 10 years? Don't go with, you know, the really modern black sinks. Now, I have one in my own home, but I wouldn't put it in a rental because it's not going to stand the test of time. And to be honest, you know, I've had kids and it hasn't stood the test of time in my experience. So stick with stainless steel with those fittings. Now, I have seen in a lot of new builds that the developers have been using the black fittings through, and we are finding now 18 months on that those fittings just aren't standing up to wear. So stainless steel all the way, stick with that in my humble opinion. So what can you do to change that? Does the bench top need changing? Because you can just change the bench top. You know, you don't have to go in and do a whole new kitchen. You can just do the bench top, and bench stone is about the same price these days as Formica. So why wouldn't you go with stone over Formica? Because people just like it, feels more modern, it feels fresher. There's very limited margin between it in my experience. And so go with that. People will go, oh, cool. You know, they just feel, it just lifts the feeling of tenants coming in and looking at it. And a flooring, I'm going to touch on that in a little bit, but flooring, does it need an update? It doesn't have to be expensive, but updating it so it just looks fresh. So kitchen and bathrooms. I mean, these are the two areas that sell a home. They're also the areas that tenants look at. So you're touching on these things. Again, go with white. You know, no one wants a purple bathroom. I mean, maybe in the 90s, we did this crazy thing with purple. If you have purple, I'm sorry, but it is best to paint it out now. It's really, you know, it's not going to come back. I just don't think it's ever going to come back. But the same with grout. Go with grey. I mean, I know I've got a picture of white. It's just that it's such a nice little clean bathroom. But I can tell you from experience that that grout around the basin's not going to stay white. So stick with grey is great. Again, the stainless steel tap and sink, if you, or, you know, you might have a nice sink, so more the tap, go with stainless steel if you can. And you can go with a trendy basin because, you know, they just, again, people just go, oh, how cool. It's capturing that feeling of, oh, I saw this property down the road. It's this, you know, you're in the same price. But, I mean, you put yourself in a tenant's shoes, what are they going to go with? A bathroom that they feel nice in, or the grotty one down the road? I mean, they're going to say, oh, I want that one all day long. So again, with the flooring update, keep it consistent through the property. Use of color in a house. Now, I have obviously talked about this, but pick a color and use it throughout. It makes it so much easier when you're touching up, when you've got to repaint that wall that either, you know, something peeled off or, you know, something happens. I mean, I've had children, it's been total accidental, you know, they were playing in the lounge and they put their head through the wall. Now, you know, that's a story I was told, so I'm guessing it's probably true because it was at child height, it wasn't anything else. But and the tenants had to repair it, but you know, sort of going, oh, now how are we going to color match that? It's a light soft, you know, was it this color, is it that color? If you just do one color throughout and pick, you know, something light and modern, sea fog, black, white, rice cake, they're all little different tones of white essentially, but you might just have a carpet, one's going to go with the other. A resin specialist will help you with that for very little cost. Or if you've got a top quality property, then invest in getting a designer to come in and to get that done for you at the beginning. So that's a thought. But you want to make it easy to patch and to repaint walls throughout, because it will need to be done. It's just, that's life, you know. Things do need to be repainted. But if you can say, and once you've picked the color, keep the tin at the property in the garage or somewhere. Tell your property manager or put it on your property file, because I can tell you in 3 years' time, you won't remember that. You'll be like, what color was it? Oh, it was a color. Oh, did we use that one in that property, or do we use the other one in the other one? Which color was it? So just keep a note of it. If you tell your property manager, and I love property managers, so why wouldn't you use one? Then they can pop it on the property file. They have it there. They have amazing systems. If you have a good property manager, they should have amazing systems, and they'll be able to just tell the tenant, hey, it's this color when they have to repaint it, because they may have put something on the wall. You know, legally now tenants are allowed, with permission, and I think it's a great thing, they can affix things to the wall, but they need to reinstate them. So they need to do that. You need to be able to provide them with the information to be able to reinstate it back to what it was. So make it easy and simple for everyone. And do not do feature walls. As much as you may still love them, I'm telling you, don't do a feature wall in a rental property. Just keep it simple. Flooring. So this is something, keep it consistent throughout. Now, it will depend on the property, the design, the age of the property. But these days, I recommend, you know, the plank vinyl look that is just, it does make things modern. If you can, just do it all in the living area. Do that all in the plank vinyl. Don't put carpet in the loungy area if it's all flowing. So I'm thinking of a standard 3 or 4 bedroom kind of area, because tenants can bring mats and put them down, but honestly, it makes it so easy for care. And then just carpet the bedrooms, because most people like bedrooms carpeted, you know, like if you've got carpet, then replace it with carpet. It's just nice, especially in winter underfoot, you know. I'm a fan of carpet in bedrooms. if you don't, if you've had flooring throughout that you don't want to put carpet on, then that's totally cool. But do spend the money. So when you put vinyl down, you are paying the same price for someone to put it down. So that cost is going to be fixed. So, but spend the extra. And honestly, I have seen, I've seen so much owners go, oh yeah, I'll pick that. And I've probably been guilty of it. I'll put my hand up and say, I have been guilty of doing it in investment properties. Oh, we'll just get a cheap one and put it down. But then as soon as they pull the fridge out, oh, it's torn the vinyl, like now you've got a tear in it. Spend the money on commercial grades. You will not regret doing that. Something that's going to stand up to wear and tear. Spend it. The opportunity cost to put it down is the same, so spend the extra. And when you actually look at it, it's not that much extra. So don't, my father-in-law says you're saving pennies for pounds, whatever saying. So look at the flooring. And a quick update of flooring is great. Now, I mean, would you want to rent this place? Probably not, because it's actually going to tell you that the owner doesn't like doing anything to the property and doesn't want to, is not invested in the property. And most tenants are educated people that say that is not where I want to live because I know I'm not going to be looked after. And so keep them tidy. Trees are not a tenant's responsibility to trim. So you may have a tenant that is great and keeps keeps things in check, but that's not actually their responsibility. It is unrealistic to expect a tenant to be out there trimming anything. Ideally, we say in the industry, anything over shoulder height shouldn't be done by a tenant because it's a health and safety risk. They won't have the equipment, and it is best just to every 6 months or 12 months, depending on what it is and how they grow, is to get them trimmed and tidy. It's not a big investment for that. Weed and mulch the garden if you're between tenants. So, I mean, I'm not a gardener, so I have very few tenants who love gardening. People are busy. They don't have time to be out there, working the garden like the old days. I don't know, I'm just not a gardener. So I've never been fond of big gardens, but make it easy care because it's just, I won't go into that. First impression counts. So when someone is coming to a viewing, that's what they're going to see. They're going to drive up, and it's really like someone that's going to buy. You are wanting them to invest in your property, and so you want them to come and go, oh cool, it looks great. That's what they're going to feel. If they feel that, then they'll enjoy having their family and friends come because they will feel proud of where they live. So think about those things when you look at yours. And these are just a couple of extra hacks as we finish. Interior design, you could be worth spending. It will depend on your property, but it could be worth the investment to find out what is good for that property. So what is your, you've got X amount to spend, how are you going to spend it? So invest in that. Depends on depends on your own. If you're good at it, then obviously do it yourself, but that is sometimes worth investment. Looking at just upgrading your fittings, what's getting yucky and sorted and needs to be sorted, get that done. Storage, do you have good storage versus can you put something into the garage, or have you got external storage for them if you don't have a garage? That can make a difference for people. Heat pump versus a fire. Now, healthy homes, obviously you might meet healthy homes with a fire, but I have so many tenants now that say, we would love a heat pump. I know the fire meets healthy home standards, but we're too busy to light the fire. We're not getting home until 6 o'clock, 6:30 at night. And to then light the fire and get the house warm, it's just not something people love doing anymore. They still got, so that is something to consider. And I encourage my owners to consider heat pumps, even though they may have a fireplace, because it is just about easy living for people. And honestly, people will make a choice to go with the property with the heat pump over somewhere else with a fire because they just don't have lives that are conducive to getting one lit, getting the house warm, so think about that. Professional photos for your advertising. What photos are you using on your advert? Because if you look on Trade Me, there are some horror photos. I don't know why they even think about putting them up there. So investing in, if you can't take a decent photo, then invest in someone that does. It is a worthwhile investment, because especially in this market, you want to engage with people right at the get-go, and they will look at some photos and go, well, does not appeal, you know. So think about that. Do you have a dishwasher? Most people love dishwashers, and yes, some people don't use them, but I would say provide a dishwasher. They're not expensive. If you've got a spot for it, have them in there. LED lights, this is a nice to have, but a lot of owners are moving to them because there's a good energy efficiency and there's no changing of light bulbs. So the olden days when people would walk out of a tenancy and have 20 bulbs missing, you know, that goes by the by. It's just makes it so much easier all round. So that is an investment. I appreciate that. That is not a, you know, it's not a hundreds of dollars fix. It's heading into the thousands, but it's something to look at. If you're doing a renovation, definitely do LED lights. And depending on your property, you know, we manage a lot of properties in Millwater, which is a suburb in close to where one of the suburbs we're in, and a lot of people have electric cars, and so that is becoming more of a thing. Do you need an electric charging station? So something to think about. And healthy homes, I won't really get into this now, but I would just say that if you have had a longer term tenant and you haven't become health and haven't met the healthy home standard, I would encourage you to do so now. Don't wait for the change of tenancy when you're forced to do it. Keep your current tenant, get it, become compliant, or at least work towards that. It is worthwhile to do it now. So I would encourage that. You know, putting in a ground vapor barrier, almost every owner looks at me and says, why? And I'm like, well, it's a great chance to get rid of that rubbish that you've had collected under your property for the last 20 years. So, you know, but worth doing. So that's another whole topic. But I would recommend you do that now. It will keep your current tenants, and it also means that when you have a tenant change, you're all done and you're not then losing downtime trying to get things sorted. Because it's not great to start a tenancy and then have this new tenant getting people in and out trying to meet the healthy home standard. I would recommend you want to get that done between tenancies, and ideally with a current tenant staying, because then you won't have any rent lost. Right. And because you want to keep, if you've got great tenants, why wouldn't you want to keep them? That is great for your investment. So you know, ticking off those things, being up to date, getting things done, that keeps your current tenants happy, keeps them in the property, which in my opinion is, investors, it is worth keeping a tenant longer than having transient in and out. So yeah, so that's us. This is my team here, and we've got Margot that didn't make the photo, but we're based on the Hibiscus Coast, and I'm happy to field calls and just answer questions at any time. So feel free to reach out to us. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Megan.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well done, Megan.
I will just, I will stop sharing. Go.
Perfect. Does anyone have any questions?
No, very thorough. Nice job, Megan.
Megan, I tell you what, if I had an investor, a client that was looking in, I'll be saying, give you a call. It's aligned to our way of thinking. So yeah, well done. Awesome.
Thanks, Richard.
Just a quick question. If you want to increase the rent, you have to wait for a year, right? And knowing the current market rent is somewhere, you go to Trade Me or something like that. And is it worthwhile to increase the rent or lose the tenant and not have a tenant for a few weeks, which does not make sense?
Yeah, Well, and that's exactly it, Baptist. I think it's looking at that, you know, what rent, where are you at with rents? What, where is it at in relation to the current market, not the market 2 months ago? And then doing that top, you know, it really is having a conversation with the tenant. You know, don't be afraid to engage with a conversation, and tenants aren't afraid you know, I guess in my experience, so I've been 20 years in the industry, it has changed significantly. We have a lot more, and you know, it's in the media a lot more long-term tenants. So 20 years ago, tenants were on their way to their own home. So they were moving through to save to get into their own home. And that particularly, and I think it's nationwide, but particularly where I live and manage properties, people can't afford first home, you know, so our 30 pluses or 25 pluses just aren't buying their first homes. They just can't get into the market. So they are long-term tenants with doing other things with their finances. And so it is really looking at your market, looking at the rents and making that decision. And yes, you right now, increasing rents could mean that your tenants might go, well, actually, I could get something down the road for $20 less a week and I'm going to move. And then you could have an empty property for 2 weeks once they move out. And then all of a sudden, all that increase has just disappeared and you're back and you may be renting it for less even possibly, because it's a very, you know, right now it is very quiet. We would normally experience in July a quiet period, but it's deader than it's been for a long time. So, I suspect it's probably all the talk of recession. People are a lot more aware of, okay, what am I doing? Where am I spending my money? You know, you can't escape it currently, can you? So,
No.
Just an add-on to that. Suppose one tenant leaves at a certain rent and new one comes in, we can increase the rent, right? It doesn't matter whether it is within a period of 12 months.
No. Yeah. But it's 12 months now if you've got an existing tenant.
Existing tenant.
Yeah,
if you
there
want
has
to
been some chatter, I think, from the Green Party that rent should stay on rents for the house, not for the tenant, you know, with the rent block. But I cannot see that flying, and I don't understand that thinking personally. I think the market dictates, and that's what's happening right now. Right, this, you know, we're the 1st of July 2022. The market is dictating, and you either listen to it or you sit with an empty property. But that could be different in 2 months. You know, it can change, and it doesn't go with house sales. So rentals and house sale markets are not the same. So you don't want to do that. That is not the same market. So even though it is happening, you know, I believe it's happening. We don't sell properties. We are purely property managers. But you don't want to fall into that trap either, thinking that you're gonna, you know, there's been crazy record highs with pricing that the rents are the same. It just does not follow. Yeah. So.
Are there any trends that you're seeing at the moment with you know, with people buying investment properties, or obviously everything going on at the moment with the property market? I mean, for people who are looking to, you know, get into an investment property or something like that, what would you recommend that they look at first when they just wanting to get into?
I'd say talk to a financial advisor. I'm not one of those, but a good friend of mine said once, today is the day to plant a tree. The best time to plant a tree is to plant a tree. Hey, Jonathan. So I see he's on there. But and so yeah, I'm not giving any financial advice on that. I would say that we are still seeing a lot of people. I have a lot of new business coming in from people who are investing in property and new builds. Particularly in this area, we've got a lot of townhouses. A lot of infill townhousing happening, and investors are purchasing that, and they've got a long game picture of it, so they're not doing it to flick a house or to do that. They are long-term investors purchasing for the next 10, 15, 20 year kind of ride. So but I can't, I'm got to be careful I don't overspeak to my I'd say if you're doing that, get a great property manager on board, get a team around you with investing, just like you would if you're investing in managed funds or anything. Get a great team on board. We're not I mean, I'm a specialist with property management, but I've got a team around me that help me with my decisions in our own investing, and I would say that's get a team. It's worth getting a really, and TNG is awesome for that. You get a great team that you can trust around you. So yeah.
Megan, I have one question. I don't know if it should be to you or to Baptist, but when this Brightline 10-year thing came in, what first of all, I'm kind of confused about it. So that means you have to own a home, maybe this is you, Baptist, for 10 years, even if it's an investment property, otherwise you pay capital gains. Is that, did I say that wrong? Tell me.
No. I'm saying I'm not here.
Yeah.
I'm not presenting.
Yeah, so I'm confused by that. So so I guess, can you explain what that actually is? And then did it impact, obviously, people who were, those investors that had multiple homes out there? Did it sort of stop that from happening? And I guess that was the point of it. So can someone speak to that for me?
See, on 26 March 2021, the rule came in, and any property brought after that falls into that 10-year Brightline test. Prior to that, in 2018, we had that 5-year. And prior to that, in 2016, we had 2 years.
Right.
So properties which were brought in 2016 are finished off. They can now sell it at any point of time without any capital gain.
Okay.
Properties which were brought in 2018 go up to 2023. After that, no problem.
Okay.
Properties brought in 2021, March, go up to 2031. 10 years they can't sell. If they sell within that period, then there is a capital gain tax.
Okay. And what percentage is that? What is the capital gain tax?
It depends on your personal tax. Say, for example, you're on a bracket of 17.5%, and you make only 10,000 or 20,000 on the profit. So you will get taxed at 17.5.
Gotcha.
So most of the people who are investing are 33 plus.
Yes. Yeah.
Percentage. They even go to 39. So the bracket has changed. Now at 180, it is 39%.
Okay. So did that impact investors, Megan? Did you see less people buying? I guess it doesn't impact is it new homes are not in that?
New homes are not in that. New homes are 5 years, I think. They have now got that on.
5 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Prior to that, there was new homes were not involved in that, but now it is 5 years.
Okay.
But having said that, I'm just talking on behalf of Megan. It doesn't affect the investors because they are into a long-term gain, and they don't care basically what happens. At the end of the day, they are here to make money, and if while making money they are paying taxes, so be it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Megan, I have just taken over your question.
That's what I say. You get the specialist on board. I'm not a tax specialist.
That's it. You're part of your team.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah. And I've had a few owners sell because they personally haven't been able to absorb the tax cuts, but only a few. So and that's been their decision for their own choices going forward, and people are always going to be selling houses for various reasons. So but it hasn't impacted as the market, I guess, as much as they anticipated it could. in my experience here. But we're not at the, when we get to 75 or 100%, possibly change, but Kiwis love property, they have a love affair with property. It's just, yeah, but.
Definitely.
Cool.
Megan, are you finding that investors are buying new too, so they can claim the whole, the interest as a cost, as an expense, rather than with that being, with older properties, that being taken out as far as claiming that as well?
Yeah, well, in my current experiences, the new people my new clients coming on board are with new builds, or people that are keeping their own home and have purchased and are keeping their own home as an investment, so they have different bright line situations with that.
Yes.
So, but a lot of new investors are doing new builds in my current experience.
With the with this incentive that at least they can claim as an legitimate expense the whole interest cost of that. Is that, do you think they're doing it some?
I mean,
it might not be the whole reason, but it certainly is an incentive.
Possibly a mortgage broker or Baptist would be able to.
Again, Richard, that's the short-term part, basically. You never know, when the new government comes, it might all change.
Well, yes, it may, and I wouldn't be surprised if it did, to be honest.
It might. So it's just short-term. So anybody in the short-term thinking of only short-term gains, will look at that, rather than if a person is looking at long-term, nothing of that sort matters.
Not a problem.
Because anyway they are going to gain via capital gains. So just hold on to the property.
Cool. Alrighty. If you guys do want to carry on the conversation, obviously you can share details and connect over a coffee or a virtual coffee, wherever you're placed in New Zealand at the moment. So what we'll do is we'll do a quick wrap around the room, and what you can do is you can just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we can go into our weekend. So let me start with you, Richard, as a newcomer to the group. Let's start with you.
All right. So like Megan, residential property management, own business, started, we've funded the company back in 2009. My wife and I did that together for about 18 months, which was really good. She's really good with systems, so it was really good in the early days. I started investing in property back in 2003, and really that really launched the fact of, particularly back in the 2000s, early 2000s. I think the industry's changed a lot, but we had out of town properties, and with managers, it was not a good experience by any means. And I think that was a catalyst why I got involved in property management. Absolutely love it. Clients come to us really because they want reliable service, and they like working with the owner of a company, whereas with the big companies can't do the same. So owners, so we're a boutique company. We're not a big rent roll, but they come to us because they like working with the owner, and the buck stops there. I think one of my big successes that I look back on fondly was a situation in a market that's changed, like Megan was talking about, up in Auckland, where the market was slow. We had a property investor, and they were starting to get, client came to me. I didn't have the property at the time, but the rents were getting dropped and dropped and dropped because of the condition of the property. And as Megan talked about, the renovations and making the property presented well. And I looked at the property, and I said to the client, look, I said, if you can find the funds to spend X amount on a budget and renovate, and do this, you'll get X amount of rent, which will pay for the cost of the renovation. They did take that on that advice, and we turned that whole property around for them, attracted the right tenants, got the increased rental income going in, which serviced all their debt, and that turned that around for them, which was, you know, they did a testimony for me, and it was, you just realize, you know, lives, you know, and it, yeah, it was quite a few years ago, but it still sticks with me, you know, what you can help, how you can help people.
Thanks for sharing, Richard. And yeah, obviously for property management in Palmerston North, then Richard is your man.
Yes.
Thanks for that. Moving on to Angela.
Okay, well done, Richard, especially considering you've just joined the group. So nice to hear all about you. My name is Angela Murray. My husband, Ross, and I have a graphic design agency, and it's based in Auckland City. So we have over 25 years experience helping customers and clients to build strong brands so that they can look professional, effectively communicate their message, and drive customer engagement. That's what it's all about. So our projects include things like logo design, all your company stationery, brochures, website, signage, vehicle graphics, any touch point that you have to basically convey who you are to your prospects and your clients. We work with small and big clients and small and big budgets, depending on the client. So we've worked with the likes of Coca-Cola and Vodafone, but we also work with, you know, a one-man band plumbing company. So no job is too big or too small. And I'm obviously American. My background is I have a business degree and with a concentration in marketing, but my husband is a Kiwi and he is our creative director. And I take care of the customer care because I love connecting with people. So that's Ange from Red Spark. We put spark into your marketing.
I love it.
Thanks, Ange.
Pleasure.
Baptist.
Good morning, all. This is Baptist from Tax Advantage. We help businesses to prosper and grow by providing them services like accounting, taxation, business advisory, bookkeeping, auditing, and business valuation. Our ideal customer is small to medium scale businesses having a turnover less than 5 million. We also help people with property specifically because there are so many acts amended in the last 2 years. People are confused. They don't know what is happening. So we help them out to understand those rules, regulations, and give them the best advice they can get. And I'm looking for any one of you for not-for-profit organizations who are looking for funding, and we can help them out. So anyone who's struggling, not-for-profit organization, send them our way. Anybody struggling in their property, accounting or taxation, send them my way. That is Baptist from Tax Advantage.
So, thanks, Baptist. Do we have Ruwania there?
She's left, Dan.
Pardon?
She's left.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Malcolm.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Malcolm Jensen. I'm a business coach with Business Success Partners. We transform lives through transforming businesses. It is our tagline, and we like to think we're successful in doing that. A common problem my clients have is one of loneliness. And I think that's becoming more and more of an issue in this kind of environment we're working in. Even though we're working from home, we're actually taking away the social element of the workplace in many cases. And I think that's only adding to the loneliness. When I first engaged my first coach, that was me. I had 200 staff. I'd be sitting in an office at 7 o'clock at night, trying to work out how to pay $100,000 wage bill when the money wasn't in the bank. And I found that to be a very lonely place. I empathize with that. Most of our team solved that problem through keeping in regular contact with their clients, which is why I have a scheduled 15-minute call every week with my clients, and it's their time to download, if you like, whatever drama is going on in their business that week. This helps them as the old saying goes, and it's really important, a problem shared is a problem halved. Often they just need to be reassured they're doing a good job and the solution they're looking to put into place will work. They just need some reassurance from me. An ideal client for me is one who's open to an experienced neutral ear. I've been there, I've done that, I've succeeded, I've failed, I know what it's like at the coal face. So my ideal client is one who is getting to that point where they're feeling rather lonely and isolated in their business, and we can help with that. So yeah, my name's Malcolm. I'm with Business Success Partners, BSP Advisory.
Awesome. Thanks, Malcolm. Is Jonathan, are you on the call?
Yeah, I am on the call. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, Jonathan from Simply Finance. I am recovering from COVID, so I hope you don't catch it from me. And I have the pleasure of being in the same networking group as Megan and Ange. So our beautiful branding is courtesy of RedSpark. And Megan and I have known each other a little while now, and is a client of mine. So I'm been thrilled to be able to work with them. We call ourselves a boutique mortgage advisory. We're a high touch, high service organization. There's about half a dozen of us in the business, and it's obviously been a very challenging time in the lending market over the last year, and people are facing extraordinary increases in interest rates. And I'd be encouraging anyone and everyone to speak to a mortgage advisor before taking any advice from a bank direct or even from the media, because that'd be the worst place to take your advice from for property or mortgages. And a bit like Richard, I've been investing in property for a long time now, since 2000, and I've made money in property and I've lost money in property. Went through the GFC, and one of those mortgage advisors that have actually seen rates go up to incredible amounts, and also drop down quickly as well. So some of the younger guys coming in the last 8 to 10 years, all they've ever seen is a rate drop happen in the market. So things have changed markedly again, and it's probably better to speak to someone who's been over the ground before. So Jonathan from Simply Finance, my ideal client would be anybody with mortgage finance, be it residential, commercial, investments, or whatever.
Cool. Thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate it. Baptist, did you mention that Ravonia was available? No, not yet. Okay, that's all good. So there's me. I'm Dan. So when I'm not sitting here on calls with you guys, I run a digital design studio. So what we do is we work with businesses, building them websites and creative brands, but predominantly in the space where they need a custom build. So their website is as much of a tool as it is a marketing asset. So a lot of the time what we're working with is businesses that need to integrate with databases, with third-party plugins or tools that they use, or they have a CRM, or they have a backend portal that they want to build out. They need all the bits and pieces from their digital ecosystem all coming into their website that can also look good and stand apart from their peers. So that's the space that we work in. We have a small team in Hamilton, and we love it. It's really cool to spend all our day designing cool things. And the best thing about my job is access to all of my clients' IP, and there is a lot of it, and it's really beneficial. So definitely learned a lot from our clients, and again. Thanks again. So take that hat off, back on with TNG Online Connect. So Melanie, did you have anything that you wanted to share?
Thanks, Dan. Hi, everybody. It's really wonderful to see you online today. As you're all aware, TNG Online is to connect us across geographical barriers. So we welcome people from groups outside of Auckland who might not otherwise meet. And it's a great opportunity for us to learn and share from our members, so that we can showcase a member and promote them across the group. So I would like to thank Megan today for coming on, and it was really insightful, really enjoyed it, learned a lot. That move the laundry. It's a great tip. Wrote that one down. So we're celebrating 10 years in business this year, and did our wonderful creative, thank you, our banners on our social media sites. Yeah, so thanks for being here today. Really appreciate your time, and please go back and share today's experience with your groups so that they can see Megan's presentation on our YouTube channel. Have a great weekend.
Thank
Thank
you. Thanks, team. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
And yeah, thanks again, Megan.
I
Appreciate
think
it.
Ravina is back, but you can't see her.
Oh, is she?
Yeah. She's muted.
Veronia, if you're there, you can.
Not on the
Rena.
screen. Yeah.
No,
No.
don't think so.
Oh, that's all good.
All right.
Good to
Thank you.
speak. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time, and see you in a fortnight.
Sounds
Bye.
good.
Thanks,
Nice
Dan.
to meet everybody and see
Thank
everyone.
you. Nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you.
Bye.
Bye.